has Jesus done for you? What does he mean to you?
Comfort.
How so?
Through all the different areas of loss into different areas of my life. And there's definitely a lot of that time that I don't know that I'd get through without Jesus. Not just like with loss and people's death, but just uncertainties that have come up, and that the only way that I would have been able to get through was knowing that Jesus had it all under control. That it may not, the things that I was going through may not have been a perfect plan, some of which I may have assisted along the way in heading down that direction and that path. But knowing that once I repented of that there would be a way for me to come through it. And my life is a testimony to that. And we've talked about it on the show some.
I'm sitting there thinking, I've asked you guys that a couple of times this morning, what does it mean? And there's something about when the troubles of the world and of that day, and being a provider and being a father, being a husband, and having these responsibilities, that it can get overwhelming and keep you up at night. And if you just focus on his presence and on who Jesus is, there's such a comfort and a relaxation that it's like, oh, I might be able to actually sleep tonight. And I can kind of forget about that because I've given my cares to the Lord, and he'll take care of it because he's always been faithful. And there's just that peace that passes all understanding, and that just kind of soothes your soul and gives you a rest, because there's nothing like the rest in the Lord and in the Holy Spirit. It's wonderful.
There's so much provision that he provides, and he's been faithful to us, and we can trust him. I recently lost my job due to a layoff, and a lot of the circumstances I faced in my life, similar to that one, when those things happen, it kind of cuts you at your knees and you feel worthless. What you were just talking about, as men, like we lose sleep. And while that was a stressful period of life, and it lasted maybe about 2 months because I'm the sole provider for my family, the thing that I fell back onto was Jehovah Jireh. The Lord provides. And that provided so much rest in that season of uncertainty and confusion. But as I reflect back on that period, the Lord provided an answer and a solution to that problem the day that it became a problem. And I didn't necessarily want to accept or hear that because it wasn't the answer that I was looking for immediately. And it's so interesting to me that even in the chaos, I was okay. And I was able to reassure my family because it wasn't my provision that was giving us the things we needed. It was the Lord's provision. And I don't know how I could have made it through that season or that period of life in the mental faculties that I did without him.
It's very humbling to sit and process what Jesus means to you, to each of us personally. I'm just sitting thinking, like, where would I be? Where would my kids be? What without his guidance? And it's like, Jesus is the only God in religion that wants a deeper relationship with you, will help you have a deeper relationship with him, and teach us how to do that. And it's very humbling. What about you, Sir Nicholas?
I was just sitting here thinking about, Andy was talking about losing a job, and I was sitting here thinking about, I went through that 5-year battle of trying to figure out what in the world was wrong with me physically.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 5 years of figuring out, man, why is my body failing me? Like, hey, you can't swallow food, and then you can't breathe, and then you couldn't walk, and you had some of the smartest people on the planet going, I don't know,
Yeah.
going hospital to hospital, and they couldn't figure it out, and then you're just relying on at that point just Jesus to keep you going, and still had that silly dumb smile on my face. And
How did he help you stay sane? With at 36. Well, how old were you when
it started, 35.
and so your life is not going to what you thought it was going to be at the age of 35. You're not even halfway through it yet, and it's not going to be what you thought.
No, and then when you finally get the answers, then you're like, hey, guess what, buddy? You got a terminal disease that's never going to go away. There's no cure. You're just going to live with this until you go to meet Jesus, and it is what it is, bro.
Yeah.
But you have that peace with Jesus, knowing that ultimately he can either heal you here on this plane, or you're going to get healed on the next plane. And why worry?
What I find interesting about your story is, like, you are one of the hardest working people I've ever met, bar none. And what you've been challenged with cuts at that core. And you've had to redefine and are, I think, actively working on redefining who you are in spite of that.
That's probably been my hardest. That's been my hardest challenge through all this. My whole family is that's like what we're known for in my family is our work ethic and how we define. Our whole family is known by how we work, and anytime we tackle a project is, man, we're going to get this done. We're going to get it done quickly. We're going to get it done professionally, and we're going to get it done like it's going to be like magnifique when we're done. Like, this is.
I don't know if we've ever used that word on this show.
Magnifique.
Like, and then to get something like this where your body's literally just slowly breaking down to your muscles they just slowly quit working, and at the core of your life, like, you've built your whole life upon.
See, but that I keep going back to the statement of that's not what truly defines you, though.
It's not, and that's kind of where I'm going with this. What truly defines me is that the joy of the Lord.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I've also truly built my life. And through all this, I think the biggest thing people have told me through all this, you know, Nick, I've had people pull me aside and still go, you're still you through all this. I still see you smiling. I still see you being the normal, people say.
Idiot.
I literally was getting ready to say the word idiot. You're still the same idiot you've always been. You still tell the same jokes. You still
the same jokes. It's so repetitive.
You still are cutting up the way you've always cut up. And I credit that to Jesus.
Well, yeah, that's a great phrase, the joy of the Lord, because there's something about knowing the world's against me. We know as Christians that we're in a fallen world and the world is against us, but there's something about the peace and the joy of the Lord that just, it reminds me of being a kid and you hug your dad. It's like, Dad's got this. And I need to learn to just let let the Lord.
And in the midst of all that, my dad dies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, right in the midst of that. Like, I still didn't know what this was. And he passes away in the middle of all that. And it was like, man, at that point, I was like, all right, I'm sick of this Job stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you still got the Lord. Just like Job was saying, even when his wife was telling him, why don't you just curse God and die? Like, no, woman.
And that's crazy because I don't see how people live in this world without Jesus.
Yeah.
You go back through all the things we would face, and I don't think I'd be able to sleep.
There's no hope, but that's also the reason why you see so many people spend time getting drunk or on drugs, is because they're looking for that peace that only God can fill.